Our next guest, he's got a lot going on. He's got a couple little ones at home. I think they're finally down, or at least hopefully they stay down for a little while and get a good night of sleep. I know he's looking forward to that. Hopefully, we got a fun one because I can just tell he's got a lot going on, a lot of projects, songs coming out, album coming out. I can't wait to hear it. This is Bar Conversations. I'm your host, Jonathan Green, and our next guest, he's a singer, guitarist, road warrior, proud dad. His new album, Almost Famous, arrives November 7th. His latest single, Bad Days, comes out by the time this is out. Let's welcome in Austin Meade.
Oh yeah, thanks for the time.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, I was going to say, I think you are having a drink tonight. So, this is Bar Conversations. Is that Bush Light your go-to drink, or what's your go-to drink these days?
Yeah, I've been on the Bush Light for a bit. So,
And prefer it on the front porch? Is that if I'm not mistaken?
yeah, now it's on the back porch. I got to move spots. Got a bigger backyard, so yeah, usually back porch. Although a lot of times our neighbors will be out front, so sometimes we'll gather around a cooler.
Oh, I like it. I like it. Now, are you just strictly beer, or do you dabble in anything else?
Every now and then get into the Tito's vodka, but I stay away from that a lot less now that I have two kids. So.
That is true. They can, you got to make sure you're there for, there in focus. But for you being a Texas guy, found a little Texas whiskey in my stash, a little Samuel Maverick.
Oh,
So
nice.
I figure Maverick is a little fitting for you and your style of music.
Yeah, that's awesome. We've
Now,
gone through our days of when I was younger. We used to drink the bars out of Jaeger, and then
oh,
we were on this Milagro kick for a while, which is just like cheap tequila. And it's just some days it was just downhill. So we got away from that and just stick to the beers. Every now and then throw in a night of NAs to keep ourselves sane.
hey, I was gonna say the NAs these days, they actually taste pretty good. You know what I mean? Like they're drinkable. Whereas there for a while, it wasn't really worth it.
You still won't catch me with the Heineken ever, but yeah.
I was gonna say, I mean, now when you do the vodka, is it a little vodka and soda water? I know a lot of guys are doing that. You gotta stay hydrated while you have one.
Whatever's in the green room, yeah. Sometimes it's just water and lime. Sometimes if they give us a Pedialyte, there's your real trick. You can do both at the same time, but you still get pretty obliterated if you drink an entire Pedialyte with half vodka in it. So not not something I've done in a couple of years.
I was gonna say, are we talking like the giant Pedialyte ones?
Yeah.
I like it. It's funny. I didn't realize how handy those were until I had kids, and I was like, "Oh, it's multifunctional."
Oh yeah.
Now, I know you're a Texas guy. You grew up in a small town down there. Your dad was a Baptist preacher, Air Force vet. What did all that have on you musically? What impact did that have on you?
Yeah, we moved around a lot. So dad, Air Force vet, and yeah, he was a pastor, and so he would. I don't know when he got into like metal, but I think it was whenever he was probably in high school or college, and he would take me out to a bunch of concerts, a bunch of shows. There's a lot of guys in the military that are into heavy music, so maybe that had something to do with it too. But I grew up listening to his stuff, and then once we moved to smaller towns, then a lot of my friends listened to more country stuff and like red dirt rock. So I'd find myself listening to a lot of that at pasture parties and just in the truck riding to school or riding to somebody's house. So I kind of got more into that scene, and that was also right around like the pop punk era. So I was a huge like Fall Out Boy, Paramore fan, still am. Um, and I guess for that genre, it was more about the music, and then the country stuff. There is a lot of great guitar players and great drummers, but I was really interested in like the lyrical content of those songs, which is also why I'm an Arctic Monkeys fan, because I feel like those guys are very intricate with what they say and what they do. So yeah, it was just kind of the clashing of growing up, and I grew up in Brenham, Texas, which is where they make Bluebell ice cream, and it's pretty close to A&M, so I ended up going there. So I just kind of stayed around that central Texas. I guess it's a little bit east, but it's kind of just the way of life there. Like county fairs were a huge thing. So, and most county fairs is like more country acts coming through. So that was the biggest event growing up all the time. It's like, who's coming to the Washington County Fair? So that was then I could ramble forever, but I got into radio because of that. So then I worked as a board op and like got to meet a bunch of musicians. And then one day I was like, hell, I guess I'll do this.
And now you're still doing it, and you talk about kind of all those things you grew up on, but I think what you started as a drummer though, or at least on the drums, taught yourselves to play the drums. What was it like to go just start on that? Because I don't feel like I know every kid wants to smack the drums, but not everyone really wants to learn how to play the drums.
Yeah, I went full into it, man. I was playing like in junior high and high school. I was in band and did the whole drumline thing. So for a while there, I was the center snare over there in high school. It was a lot of fun. I ended up quitting that to play golf, which I still do today as well. So I used to take it like super seriously, like concert band, knew how to play marimba and all the xylophones and all that crazy stuff with like four mallets and stuff. It was just a lot of fun to create music with a group of people, especially when you could try out for like regionals and state, right? And if you won or you were good enough to get in the top or whatever, you would get to go play with like these amazing instrumentalists from like all over the state, sometimes from different parts of the country. And so you'd be in a room with like the most badass like horn players and violinists, and it was a really cool experience when I was young to be able to create like that moment where everybody in the room is like, holy crap, I can't believe that they just made that happen. And that sparked a little bit of my interest too, and continuing to do live music. But I didn't want to do like that route of it forever. I'm into guitars and rock and heavy shit. So.
And was it your dad that kind of handed you a guitar in church service in a bind, and next thing you know, that's where you're at these days?
Pretty much, yeah. I started playing drums there, and it was a Southern Baptist church, so they didn't like my real drum set, so they raised enough money to get me an electric drum set, and they made me do that. And then I played for a while. Their dad had a couple of like touring musicians from Austin coming in that were really great songwriters and leading worship there. So I was just the kid drummer, and then they had a staff member just leave, I guess unexpectedly, not on a great note. So he was like, "Hey, here's my guitar. Why don't you learn some chords and get up there and play?" And I'm sure it was terrible, but I was like, "Oh crap!" Like I used to sit in my room and look up guitar tabs and chords and stuff, so I kind of fumbled through it. But it's a lot more forgiving to do that in like a old school Southern Baptist church the first time than it is like at a big show.
Very, 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 very true. Although I've been told that they could, let you know of a few things every now and then.
Yeah, they thought it was quieter than my real drum set, so they were happy about that. But yeah, the thing about playing in churches is that like, at least where I was at, you learn like maybe 10 songs, because they might play 5, 6 songs in the service, and usually you just rotate out of those like 10. So it wasn't like this massive knowledge of all these songs. And when we would pull out like an old hymn, usually there were hymnals there, so it would pretty much tell you what to play in the first place. But yeah, it was interesting from, if you look at my lyrics now, from where that started.
No, not at all, not at all. No, and I love to. You talk about like the Arctic Monkeys, so many things. You do have you. I have a way with words. My way with words is I screwed them up. You have a way with words because you have a little fun with your writing style. But did you know that you were going to always go down the music route, or you went to A&M, you got your degree, I think in agriculture. Was that a path, or was music kind of it, and maybe that's plan C, D, E if ever needed?
Yeah, just because where I grew up, I didn't know if I was going to end up like into, it could have been real estate, it could have been selling corn and cotton. I knew a lot of guys that were big investors and kind of did that. There's a lot of that where I grew up, and so I kind of just went to school for business basically. And then once I got further into my college career, I took some entrepreneurship classes, and they had me do our main senior project was you had to build a business, and I was already touring, so I was like, well, why don't I just do this entire project. It was partially because of laziness, right? Like I was one of the only guys that already had a business, so I wasn't like dreaming up a wedding venue or a restaurant or anything. I was like, well, I'm already touring, so I might as well just like put in the numbers that I'm doing, even though they're not, impressive.
But
Um, and then I just basically typed out what I did in this big like paper that we had to turn in, and I ended up, I can't remember the name of the award, but I won an award on that basically because these people believed in me, and I was like, well, yeah, I do this shit every day. But so once I did that for my senior project, and I think I like drove back to present my senior project from like some bar in East Texas or something. So I slept like 2 hours and had to put on my little suit and get up there and look awkward and say stuff after I just played like a smoky bar. But once I did that, I was like, well, I graduated, which kind of appeased, myself and like finishing that degree, and it was a really proud moment, and I'm sure my parents are proud of it. And they're like, "What are you gonna do?" And I'm like, I'm gonna keep doing this. Like I had just really gotten into writing my own songs and releasing my own records, so I wanted to kind of give that a chance before I got too old to do it. And I still tell myself that like today. Now I have like a wife and kids, and I'm like, come on, we're almost there. We're almost famous. You know what I mean? So it's kind of just a competitive thing in my head that's been there for like shit, 15 years now.
I was gonna say, I mean, I think you're beyond almost famous. Although, I mean, I know that is the title track to your next album. But I mean, for you, I mean, was as you've gone along this journey, because you've been at it, like you said, for a good little while. I mean, what's it like to kind of keep pushing forward? And you've had those successes, though, obviously, and we'll get into a few of those. But I mean, what's it been like to actually see that success? I guess the big one for you, Happier Alone, kind of really probably took that next step. So I mean, what's it been like to be on that journey?
It's hard to like step back and always see all of that because I'm always working on something new and doing a new project and like creating something. So I just I don't know. I'm like a workaholic, which is not always the healthiest thing. But Gunner, come here, buddy. Oh, my dog's eating something off the floor, but whatever. I'm just always like, I'm like that. I'm a squirrel, right? Like I'm looking at like 20 things at one time, and I always want to make our next song, our next record better than the last one. Uh, I grew up playing a lot of sports, so I'm just super competitive, and like with what I'm doing now, which is kind of similar to golf, like you're really just competing with yourself to like continue to do better, shoot a better score, make a better record. So I feel like at the beginning, yeah, I just got really lucky that I had the opportunity to meet the people I did and do some of the tours that we did. And I've told a lot of people this, but one time we played at Billy Bob's in Fort Worth, this little Sunday acoustic thing with a guy named Cody Jinks, who now is like massive. And at the time, he was just like in a little Ford RV, like not even a bus. It was one of those like E350s with the box on the back with like beds and stuff. And I was like, "What do I gotta do, man? How do I get here?" And he's like, "You just gotta be too stupid to quit." So that's kind of what I've done. But the longer that you're in the scene, it doesn't matter if it's like the rock scene or the red dirt scene or metal or just songwriter stuff. You just meet more people, and I think that if you continue to put out like the work ethic to do it, you see a lot of people like rise real quick, and a lot of people disappear to go, you know, do something else. And I've just been pretty much dead set on writing songs and creating stuff. That's definitely changed a lot since the beginning of me starting this. Whenever I started this, it was all about like, how good is your song? And now, obviously, they're like, how good is your TikTok? And you're like, I'm a dad, so I don't really give a shit about that stuff. They force me to do a lot of that, sometimes, but I understand how the world is changing. But you'll never see me being like, ooh, I gotta make this TikTok better than my last. But I do that every time I sit down to write a song, dude. I write all the time. So I don't know, man. It's just been something I've been too stupid to quit at for quite a while now.
Hey, I mean, there's something to that perseverance, because it's not a, like you said, it's not an easy industry to always break through, and it's a slow, steady climb at times. And for someone that's doing it, I don't know. I feel like you've got the longevity part of it set. You've been putting in the groundwork. You've laid a good foundation, and a lot of good things have happened. Now, one thing I think people will notice about you is you've got some lovely facial hair. I just have a normal beard, but you put in some work on that facial hair, that mustache. How much work do you put into that world class thing?
Not much, honestly. The latest video that we put out for Honey Do Ya, like I shaved everything off, and that was only like a month ago. So I've already had to like cut it back a couple times. I don't know. Whenever I was younger, I could never grow anything, and then all of a sudden, I decided to let the mustache go. So it was just a mustache for a while, and then it became this whole thing. And yeah, I'm almost to the Wolverine stage at this point, I think.
I
But
was gonna say it's a good look. You pull it off. I don't. I couldn't. I can't stand it.
it
Once it
goes with
gets
the
too long, I
classic
get
vibe.
itchy.
It goes with the classic vibes. It makes the older folks think that I'm really from the '70s. So we'll stick with that. It matches the guitar tones usually.
I love it, and we talked a little bit. The Honey Do Ya, that you mentioned. That's a song I love. Almost Famous. You get a few things said your way every now and then. Are you that guy? Um, what's it like to be able to put Almost Famous out on November 7th? And did you really record that in your spare bedroom and in a garage in Nashville?
Yeah, we did all of that. Like we did a bunch of writing sessions, and so some are kind of bits and pieces from just like people's studios that probably look like where you're sitting or where I'm sitting. We've done a lot of full studios, which are great, and I'm sure we'll go back and do more of that. But we found a team that really like believed in what we were doing, and like my lead guitar player David Willey, we've been working together now for almost a decade, and one of our longtime friends who produced this did most of it. His name's Riley Bria. He's in Nashville, and he has like a garage studio. It's pretty dope, but it's a humble spot from what you'd compare to like a multi-million-dollar studio, And I mean, dude, technology has just made it to where it really just depends on whose brain is in the room and the team that you put together and like who believes in it and if their style of producing or mixing or any of that guitar playing is what vibes with you, then dude, you can make anything at like anywhere these days. We ride on the road now, like in the bus. If we're parked somewhere, we'll just like make demos. And sometimes I'm like, why didn't we just put out this fucking demo? Because some of the demos sound like, I mean, they sound better than my early stuff for sure. It's it's not like I would just put out just a piece of trash, but a lot of times we'll sit there for like a couple hours, and I'll be like, damn, this sounds better than like most of my early records. So why don't we just put it out? But um, yeah, it's I think that's a big thing. Is the further you get into this, everybody wants to hang carrots in front of your face all the time. I give you this, I give you that, I can build you this, I can build you that. And what I've learned, especially over the last couple years, is like none of that shit matters. It's like who believes in what you're actually writing and what you're actually doing isn't just trying to fucking sell you shimmery sparkles. There's a lot of that
Well,
shit, so.
and on this album, I feel like you've put quite a collection of songs. I think you've even described it as your most personal, family-driven album yet. Touching on themes of ambition, burnout, perseverance. What makes this album, Almost Famous, extra special to you? I guess.
Um, I think there's a time in my life. I always like to kind of timestamp where I'm at in life. Maybe it's a selfish thing, but if I'm looking at an artist, which I'm a huge music fan, so I follow this kind of stuff all the time, but like I want to know where that person's at and like what they feel like inspiration wise at that thumbprint in their life, at that little timestamp. And there was a whole lot of change in my life over the last couple of years. Obviously, like I got a 2 year old and another one's a couple months old, and um, so it just came from like a little bit of a different perspective than the earlier stuff. It does remind me, writing wise, a lot of the Black Sheep record. Um, and then we had another record called Abstract Art where I just kind of went crazy. It's Abstract Art of an Unstable Mind, and I just like wanted to write this thing that I felt like was a movie through music. Which I love that record. I think that that record still has a lot of gas in the tank, and I think people, as they like come out to our show and dig more into us, I always get requests for those songs. But this one just felt like a more mature record to me, especially the last song. The last song, like Father Like Son, is the first song that I wrote for my oldest. So that was really cool to be able to include that in this grouping. I do think that there's a couple of songs, She Loves Me Not and Honey Do Ya, kind of remind me of the Happier Alone type sound. And then there's also some of the heaviest shit we've ever made on this record, which I think is fucking awesome. Bubblegum and Cigarettes, Damn or Don't. Bad Days has some pretty heavy stuff in there. Bottle You Up sounds like it's from the 90s straight up. There's a great song on there called Civil War that's kind of from that pop punk era. So, and Numbing Nostalgic is just about me growing up, which references like a ton of 90s stuff. And every time I listen to that song, I still laugh because of how relatable it is to me, even though I was like in the room writing it. And all of my buddies that are 90s babies and 80s babies, they're like, oh, dude, that's my shit. So I think this one really captures the nostalgia that a lot of people are feeling these days. I mean, I love that. I still listen to my favorite old bands. I find new bands every day, every week, more realistically, but there's nothing like sitting back and listening to something that can take you back into that place of like, oh, dude, I feel younger and like more rejuvenated. So I think there's a lot of that in this record, and it takes a little bit of time for me personally to get there and be able to write that kind of stuff. I mean, you got to get older. So
I was gonna say you gotta have those life experiences, right? You now literally have a honey-do list, which is where Honey Do You kind of came from. I mean, what's it like to, in a fun sense, kind of twist those words around a little bit, that honey-do list into Honey Do You, which is really kind of a love song, to your wife that's kind of like a joke in a sense, but it does get very sincere. I mean, what's it like to have that inspiration and writing process on a track like Honey Do You?
I love being able to twist words in a way where you don't necessarily see it coming from the title or even from the first verse. I like sticking weird words together just to make people think a little bit more about something more than the bullshit of, social media. That's what really gets me going. And when I'm in a room with people that are also on that same wavelength, what's going to last a long time? And to me, it's those clever lyrics that are just not, I guess, boilerplate, like spitting up stuff, which you can definitely go too deep into that and get too fancy and too avant-garde or whatever. But it's also hilarious to show, like when Bad Days comes out. When I first came back, showed my wife that, I was like, I wonder how this is going to go, because it's literally I'm like, blah, 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 gossip all day long, love your southern drawl, but I don't want to hear about your bad day. And I was like, I got to write this. There's got to be somebody else out there that feels the same way occasionally. Luckily, she loves it. It's awesome. Mind you, she already had to, when I showed her Happier Alone, like when we first got together, it was shortly after that I showed her that song.
Not awkward at all at that point, right?
Yeah, she loves it and loved it. I'm pretty sure her parents like texted her and was like, "Hey, you sure about this guy? He just put out this song, Happier Alone, that's getting really popular. I wonder if it's about you." But that song was actually written about, basically from her point of view. I'm telling her like, "Hey, you don't have to deal with me being a touring musician and all this extraneous bullshit. Like, you could get a guy that just does a 9 to 5 or something a little more around the house type thing." And I think that resonated with a lot of people, whether it was for that reason or because they wanted to find something better for themselves. I do think that's the theme song of the divorcees at our shows, which is great. But yeah,
Even if it didn't have that exact meaning when you wrote it. But I mean, I think that's the beauty of songwriting. People see themselves in it, and whether it's the story you kind of thought it or it was theirs, they still find a way to it. And I love the storytelling aspect of what you do.
thanks. That's really what I'm trying to do. Is I'm a I say it all the time, but I'm a huge Tom Petty fan. I used to be super into Ryan Adams, and I just feel like those guys nail that on the head over and over and over and over again.
Well, and then for you, you also, like you said, you can take a step back. You can make fun of yourself in a sense. Almost Famous, I feel like a clear example of that. What was it like to bring that one to life? And also, why did you want to name the album after that song as well?
At first, the album was going to be called Numb Me Nostalgic, and then we kind of tossed it around a couple times. I love that for the album title, but there were some other people on our team who I guess they were a little nervous from the Abstract Art of an Unstable Mind record. They're like, maybe this is too abstract. Let's make it a little simpler, buddy. And I thought it would be hilarious if we had our biggest record and it was called Almost Famous. So it's kind of a joke, honestly, to pick that as like the title track. But I also felt like that was one of they're all very personal songs, but that was just like, dude, this is me. And I don't think you can get more Austin Meade than what I'm saying in that song. I'm talking about the wife, the grandmother, all those things, and that whole song started from me playing really like nationally. You go to some places and there's 1,000 or 2,000 people that all know who you are, and then you go somewhere you've never been before and like 5 people know who you are. It's like just the levels of insanity that you have to be willing to go through basically to do it for a living. But yeah, I guess it just the reason that became the name of it was one, because I kind of wanted that to be the first single. I felt like it was a really good encompassing thing, and that song is also very nostalgic for me, like Numb Me Nostalgic. But that would be hilarious if this is our biggest record to date, which I hope it is. I think it's our best songs.
I was gonna say I love the collection, and you've talked a little bit about your last album, which, like you said, it was a little bit of fun. Like I said, you enjoy that creative side, and with Abstract Art of an Unstable Mind, you kind of made your own like radio station. Why did you want to put out kind of, in a sense, a concept album where you were having a little bit of fun?
Goes back to what I was talking about. I grew up working at a radio station in high school, and the guys that I tour with that play like we're all just a bunch of jokers, and I thought it would be really funny to have like they're all in the skits with me. There's one guy that's in the skit that I went to high school with, one of my best friends, Trenton Blundell. He's like the sports announcer. Um, and it reminded me also of like the pop punk era. I don't know if you ever were into that, but there's a lot of just like tomfoolery and bullshit in the music videos and uh, intros and outros that weave in and out of the record. That record was also so diverse that I felt like we needed something to go from the funnier stuff to the more serious stuff, the happier to the sad, the heavy to the kind of alternative sounding stuff. So for me, those little skits kind of helped the story make sense, with the different DJs coming in for their different shifts and their different taste in music. I don't know. I just thought it was. I was doing the movie thing, right? I was like, oh, I'm going to make a movie in my head and spit it out to people's ears. And that's just what it turned out to be.
I mean, I was gonna say, I mean, you did that. I know you say it's writing a movie or a TV series, but I mean, in a sense, you could even go way further back in radio, back in the days when it was just audio movie show, movies and things like that. I mean, is it kind of cool to since have those, interesting things? Because, like you said, you had some great songs on that: Red Roof Estates, Rain Dancing, Queen of the Letdown. So many fun, interesting songs on that. I mean, but really, like you said, that takes you even further back if you really think about it.
Yeah, speaking of rain dancing, that was like me diving as hard as I could into my 80s influences. I love that song. And to this day, I think that is one of the only songs that we have not played live yet because that song just never got its day in court. Like I didn't see people asking for it. I don't know if it's because it's later on the record or what, but there are so many little nuggets of gold in that song. I mean, really that whole record, but like the dog that I just had to get out of the kennel, it's him barking at the beginning of that when we were putting our keys in the front door because he does that every time. And the there's God, there's a little like when you go you're in Mexico and all these people are selling these little wood things and carvings and stuff. It was I don't know exactly where it was, but our guitar player Willie, his boss had brought him back a little flute, like a little wooden flute, and it was a souvenir type thing. And so we started putting all this stuff into the Sprinter that we had at the time. We were going to record the record. I'm like, okay, bring the trumpet. He forgot the trumpet, and then we had to buy one for him to play it on Varsity Type. He found it in a pawn shop. I think at first I was like, yeah, you don't know how to play trumpet. And then that song ended up being one of the most popular on there. He still plays the trumpet live at every show. But anyways, dude, I have like a kazoo in there and this flute and vibra slaps everywhere. But yeah, his boss had brought him this little wooden flute back from his vacation, and I was waiting for that entire record to find a song that I felt like that wooden flute could fit on. And once Rain Dancing kind of started to build up, I was like, dude, get the wooden flute out and just make some noises. So,
I love
mean,
it.
it's
I
like
love the
waxed and hand painted and all this stuff, and it was probably like $10, But yeah, man, that song has a really
no.
great ending. I love that. I need to go back and listen to that. I probably haven't listened to that song in like 4 years, maybe 3. So
I was gonna say maybe on this tour, maybe on the last night or the first night, you just might have a little fun with it. Um, you know, but you talk about kind of the abstract art of an unstable mind being a certain way. Obviously, almost famous. You mentioned kind of back to Black Sheep. You had Waves as well. The album. How has your writing and songs you created changed since then, or is it kind of similar? But like you said, you just a few more life experiences.
I feel like the songwriting just changed with me as I grew a bit. There's still a lot of songs, even off the Waves record, and before that, Heartbreak Coming, a lot of songs that I love on there. Even Chief of the Sinners, our first record, there's some that I'm like, dang, that's pretty decent for a 18, 19-year-old. Um, Off of Waves, there's a song called Coming Down that we're probably going to put back into the set. I love that one. I think that the sound change specifically is just learning more, and I would hope getting better at our instruments and writing and just progressing as an artist, and the lyrical stuff and the actual playing of the instruments. It's a little hard for me these days to practice guitar just because I got 2 kids and I'm also like the tour manager and production manager and stuff. But Willie like excels in just getting better and doing crazier and crazier shit on guitar. When the record comes out, the craziest solo is on Damn or Don't. There's a whole key change. It sounds so insane, but he's really excelled in that. Our band just keeps getting closer and like getting more tight knit, and I feel like they're always just getting better. There's not a better feeling than like when you go on tour for a couple months and you first start the tour. Usually everybody's kind of getting back into the groove, and then after a couple weeks, dude, you could play the set with your eyes closed and you know what everybody's going to do, and then you kind of free yourself up to be like, oh, let's change up this solo. Like tonight I'm going to feel this and do this hits a little bit differently. That's really when the magic starts to happen of like finding new songs, finding new riffs, and finding memorable parts for the live show. We do a lot of stuff in the live show that's not on the record, and that's just from playing all the time. Like one night I'll just turn back to the drummer and just do something on guitar, or like do a vocal thing, and he'll be like, "Ooh," and then we'll just do it all together, and we're like, "All right, let's build on that." So that's how old school bands have always done it, is just finding the cool moments. It's really frustrating when you make a record and it comes out and then you tour it and then you're like, damn, I wish I would have toured this record for like 6 months or a year before I actually put it out, because I would have gone back into the studio and did all that. But that's why people come see the live show. That's why people come and like support you and pay for that, because they're going to get, hopefully, what they see is like an even better experience than what they heard on their phone or whatever.
And that's what I love about a live show. And there's a question that I ask at the end that goes back to this, and I'm going to save it because it's a perfect way to end. But I mean, like, you talk about working with the group. I mean, you talk about David Willie, your guitarist. You've been writing with him and playing with him for over a decade now. What's it like to build that approach, though, to creating songs with people you trust? But also, he brings a little bit more of a, I think, metal background. What's it like to kind of blend those lifestyles and those musical loves?
You got to find good people that have your back, because you are literally traveling around the country in some great places, but also some very sketchy places. The bigger tours are usually in bigger cities, and you get in some bad situations fast. And when it comes down to it on the road, like, you gotta know that your boy has your back. Like, if some shit goes down, somebody that's gonna look out for you. If somebody tries to come after you, I mean, it's just friendship, man. Somebody that you can trust, whether that be with your gear, with money, I'm not saying you gotta trust everybody in the entire squad with like your cash, but somebody that's gonna be honest. Like, you gotta have that piece of your heart where, like, all right, this guy's got my back, at least for what he does. And that's really what I've built the entire band and business around, is just working with people that I feel like I can trust, and that honesty is a huge thing. Willie, yeah, he moved to Austin, Texas with a metal band from Southern California, and then they split up, and when I met him, he was valeting cars at the Radisson Hotel. So he'd been doing this for a long time. Before that, he'd kind of given up on his dream, basically. And I don't know, man, we just happened to become friends through a guy named Jimmy Heritage, who's one of my best friends in the world. And whenever I was able to trust Willie with some stuff, and saw his work ethic on guitar and like how much he cared about making the songs good, I was like, let's fucking ride, dude. But touring is one of those things where, especially at a smaller level, like clubs and bars and things, like, you really gotta be attentive and kind of watch yourself, especially these days, because you never know when somebody's gonna throw something, try to fight you, and it's like, who would you go out to the bar with your boys and know that they got your back? I'm also the smallest one in the band, dude. So Willie's like a foot taller than me, and he's got big ass shoulders and arms. So there's been multiple times where I'll just be like, get him, like, I don't have to worry about shit.
I was gonna say, I mean, living the road life. I mean, you've played well over 450 concerts, shows. I mean, you've opened for everyone from ZZ Top to Godsmack, Seven Dust. I mean, what's it like to be on the road so much? Kind of do that road warrior lifestyle and tour pretty consistently.
That's pretty much all I know, man. Like, I don't know if that came from moving around a lot as a kid or what, but I get bored when I'm at home too long. It's a little different now, obviously, with the family and stuff. It's harder to leave, but I mean, that's all I've known for like 15 years, is going and not stopping. It's like the Energizer Bunny thing. Like, let's go as long as we can, as far as we can, and just try to build it. I mean, there's no way that you're gonna unless you're a TikTok star or whatever the fuck that is, there's no way you're just gonna show up on the other side of the country and there's gonna be 5,000 people there. I mean, the real way that you get the longevity in the career and stuff is by like working the way up. And trust me, I wouldn't complain if tomorrow something popped off and it was like, okay, 10,000 people everywhere I go. That'd be fucking sick. But that isn't the way that things used to be. And I am glad that, like, we're still rising, right? I think the longer the rise, then, like, the longer the fall. Because, like I mentioned earlier, a lot of guys, they pop up there and then they're out. They're, like, gone. And I don't really have plans to retire when I get older. I want to be like AC/DC and Tom Petty and play until I'm dead, and just keep doing the fucking thing. It's what I get joy from, and there's nothing cooler than bringing a room of people together, no matter if it's a big amphitheater or a small club, just to bring people together that enjoy the music, especially if they know the music and they're all singing along. Then all of a sudden you've got friends, but the country and rock crossover, we've got cowboys and rockers and everything, and I think it kind of opens the door to a lot of positivity to people and makes people realize that, like, oh, they look different than me, but we're not so different. We like the same kind of music. So, but being on the road is it's fun. There's a lot more logistical things that people don't think about. Getting places on time, setting stuff up, especially as the production gets bigger. You got lights, you got screens, you got sound. You got to deal with all of these things on different levels, and you want to give the best quality product you can every time somebody walks in that room. I mean, even the merchandise, like, I'm picking what t-shirts we're doing, the quantities of the t-shirts, like, it's every time I think I've got everything done, there's like 18 more things, 20 more things that pop up, and I'm like, fuck, I didn't think about that.
Hey, but you got that business plan you put together a long time ago that you can go back
Yeah,
to if you ever need it.
that was when I was touring in I think it was a 99 F-150 cab and a half, and I had just bought my first trailer, so things were a lot simpler then. You start adding tour buses and all these different levels of merchandise and lighting and stuff. Like I mentioned, it becomes a lot really quick. And
Well,
and
especially
I'm
as,
the one
as
that
as you balance it all yourself, right?
Yeah, I'm the one that everybody has to trust. They're like, okay, it's gonna happen because Austin's gonna figure it out, and we do it somehow. But it's also a little bit of a curse because people will just be like, he'll figure it out. I don't need to help him. I'm like, fuck, I guess I'll figure it out. You know.
You're
So
like, I could use that help. Help would be good.
occasionally, yeah, yeah.
Well, and you talk about how life has changed for you. Obviously, you got the honeydew list. Every now and then when you get home. I mean, but you got like you said, the two little ones, the wife. I mean, what's it like now balancing that road warrior drive with the family? Because I'm guessing that has changed a lot since when you first started in the, with the trailer behind you in the F-150.
Yeah, it's definitely harder as both sides of your life grow. I mean, I'm sure you know from having kids. When I'm home, it's hard to get stuff done. It's a beautiful thing, and I wouldn't trade it for anything. But like now, my oldest, he's my shadow, right? So everything I do, he's gonna be right there, and he, everything that he tries to do right now is he's trying to be helpful, but he's also doing a lot of dangerous shit. I'm trying to keep him safe. I'm turned around. I'm like, this guy's jumping off the couch right now. What the hell? And um, it's hard to really balance all of that. I definitely couldn't do it without my wife. Like she's crushing it at home and keeping the boys healthy and thick. We got some pretty big boys, so she must be doing something right with that. Um, but also, like my parents moved closer to me, so it's cool. My dad works with me now. He's our bus driver, so that's a lot of fun. I think we'll always look back on these years and really cherish like the opportunity to be able to travel the country together because he was doing his own thing for a long time. He was a Baptist pastor for 30 something years. So it's cool to be able to call my mom almost every day and be like, hey, you want to come hang out with the boys while I go do merch orders or go work on something on the bus? And she's like, yep, be right there. So that's a lot of fun. I have no idea how my grandparents did it back in the day with like multiple jobs. And I mean, my dad's family, they had 4 kids that were under 5 years old at one point. So
Ooh.
um, yeah, I talk to my grandma about that all the time, and I'm like, damn, she is a warrior, you know.
I was
Uh,
gonna say, hey,
the-
you could work on that too. I mean, you've got two under like 2.5. I mean, that you could get there.
I didn't have these wrinkle lines or these gray hairs in my beard before I had kids, so luckily I still have my hair. But yeah, I don't know how they did that back then. Maybe times were a little simpler. I don't know, but my it kind of goes back to the always trying to be competitive and the work ethic thing. Like my grandfather, always working on a project. Doesn't matter what it was, the house or work or whatever. Even when he retired, I think he retired like 3 times because he got bored, right? So it's just a whole, I guess it's a bloodline of just trying to work your ass off, really.
Well, I mean, I think it's working for you. The music's great. You know, a lot of things are going well for you, and you're about to have some shows on the road. Like you said, you got all the everything hopefully lined up. I mean, things are about to pop off here. You got shows with Pecos and the Rooftops, and then Elvie Shane, who's a friend of the show. I mean, what can folks expect on the tour?
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. We're doing the West Coast with Pecos and the Rooftops. I've known those guys for a while. I'm excited to kind of get out to the West Coast with some more Texas boys. I think that's something that doesn't happen very often whenever you're able to pair a couple Texas bands to go do something really far away. There's a lot of festivals and co-headline things that kind of happen close, but that's going to be a lot of fun. I actually haven't had the chance to tour with Elvie Shane yet, so I'm excited about that. I know he's a fantastic songwriter, and that's why I wanted to do that whole thing with him. And then at the end of that run, we have, I think, a week or a week and a half with Giovanni and the Hired Guns. Those are Texas guys as well. So that's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know. It's cool to do like the super big amphitheater and arena shows and stuff, but I feel like it's a lot more fun sometimes to even do smaller clubs with like your friends, people you know. You get to hang out a little bit more. And as far as what to expect, we're playing a lot of stuff off the new record. So there's that. There's a brand new light show that we've been working on. So we're bringing that thing out and doing, man, we're just trying to bring what we bring in our region, like Texas, Oklahoma, and Arkansas that we've been doing for a while. We're just trying to branch that out and do it in the new spots. Built a whole new merch line for it, so there's a lot of cool stuff to look at there. And really, I'm just excited about like the music videos that we just did. We're about to put out another one with Bad Days. There's a lot of creativity going into this record, and I'm hoping to portray that pretty well on this tour. So it's been a while since I've been to California and that whole West Coast. I think it's been 2 years probably. I think it's only our third time there. So there's a lot of new places for us that I'm excited to get to see if anybody's been listening.
Well, I think they have, or at least if they haven't, they should, because it's you're putting out some great music, and you talked about this earlier, and this is what I love about the live shows is people really get to see the music come alive. And to your point earlier about maybe some others that take a maybe social media route, they might not be able to put on quite the show that you guys are able to, because you have actually toured, how to work a crowd, talk to a crowd, and kind of redo those songs out there for them to give them a whole new experience. So, I always ask, what's your favorite drink at the start? As we get toward the end, I ask this one. What's your favorite song of yours to perform live these days?
Oof. Well, we've got a pretty big collection of them now. I think we have over 75 songs out. But I really like to play Cave In. That's off the Black Sheep record. It's got a pretty memorable line in there that says, "I wish that you would fuck me like you gave a damn." People tend to know that one. And that's also a song where we change the solo every night. So musically, we kind of have a layout of what's going to happen, but that's one of those moments in the show where something fucking incredible could happen right there. Usually it's pretty cool, but then there's some nights where it's like, oh my God, did you just hear that solo Willie did? Because we're building this whole thing behind him. Me and our drummer Owen, we're playing like the same hits together, like on guitar and drums, and it's kind of theatrical the way that it comes about. So I'd say here lately that one, if we're out on tour with some of our friends that we've done songs with, Treaty Oak Revival, they got on a song with us called Insignificant Other, and that's always a super fun moment if we're opening for them. Those guys are just awesome, like humble, salt of the earth guys, and they'll always come out and sing that song with us, which a lot of people won't do if they're headlining. You know, like they don't want to blow the cover, I guess, that they're actually there. So whenever we're playing with those guys, I love playing Insignificant Other because they sing on that, so they'll come out and the crowd will just lose their shit on that one. And other than that, I really do like playing Bad Days, the new one, because the breakdown is just so heavy. Pretty Little Waste is really fun. That's off of the little EP or whatever that we did before then. That's probably, other than Bubblegum and Cigarettes, that's the heaviest song. And I guess to round out a Styx answer question, yeah, Bubblegum and Cigarettes is probably the heaviest and the most crowd intense song that we do. Everybody jumps with us at the end. It's very Limp Bizkit inspired. So by the end of it, everybody's just like bouncing. So it's really cool in smaller clubs. It's also badass when you look out and you see like 8,000-9,000 people jumping up and down. You're like, holy shit, the song's not even out yet, and I got over half these people jumping up and down. So I think that song's got a lot of potential.
Well, and see, like you said, you're making connections even with the songs that haven't exactly hit the Spotifys of the world. And like I said, it's a fantastic album, what I've got to listen to so far, and then diving deeper into to everything. I've enjoyed it. And, you know, like I said, Almost Famous comes out November 7th. By the time this drop, Bad Days will be out for folks to listen to. You know, it's crazy to think by the time this episode drops, it's October. It means 2025 is, you know, 3/4 of the way over. What can folks expect from you the rest of 2025 and then on into 2026? Because it sounds like you just never stop because you don't know how to.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, girls got to eat, you know what I mean? We're touring a lot this year. We're going to be announcing a very special set of Christmas shows that we do every year, like in the southern region. I'm very excited about that. And doing a couple of really cool festivals next year. I don't have all of 26 laid out yet, but I'm hoping that we get to hop on a couple of large tours. I know that either way, I'm obviously putting out Almost Famous, getting this record done, and then I'm already building more shit. Like I'm just building. I'm just working, you know, as much as I can. I have no intentions of slowing down or stopping anytime soon. So there's some new music videos coming out. I think that when this record does drop, I feel like a lot of people are gonna have a little bit different perspective of us, and I'm excited to see my kids, you know, grow up. That's what I'm super pumped about. It's like, all right, what are these little fuckers gonna do next? Because right now it's unpredictable. I'm sure it's gonna be like that for a while.
It is. It is. It's just a whole different level of unpredictability.
My 2-year-old's already saying stuff. I'm like, how'd you learn about that? I'm like, what? What's going on, dude?
Yeah, just wait till they throw you under the bus on something or say you're not good at something, and it really feels good.
He's already done that. You know, the famous dad move is blaming farts on your kid, like, because usually the kid, you know. And anyways, we're sitting at dinner the other night, and you know, I rip one, and then he just points at me and goes, "Diaper?" I was like, "Damn, dude, you already know that."
Oh man, yeah, you're in trouble. You're in trouble as life goes on. Oh, but I love it. I can't wait to see where life takes you on that. And Austin, man, thanks for sharing a drink with me, talking about your journey so far. And folks, if you haven't yet, give him a listen. Go down the rabbit hole. You won't regret it. And when Almost Famous comes out, give it a listen and find him on tour. Austin, man, cheers.
Yeah, absolutely. Cheers. There's a long rabbit hole to dig into, and it'll continue to grow.
I love it.